Dragon Ball Budokai 3 released 19 years ago, and I couldn't help it. I wanted to go back. I've got this whole anime series prepared for the channel. I wanted to start with Budokai 3, mainly because that was the first game I played, and to be honest, it is way better than Budokai 2 and Budokai 1. I mean, some people may disagree, but, you're just wrong. It's just a better game. So sit back, relax, and just, enjoy the ride, as you probably have already done many times on this channel. And if you haven't, if you're new, hello, welcome to Jack's Game Reviews. No longer classic game reviews, it's Jack's Game Reviews. We review games, old, new, and, mid games as well. I force myself to play them. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, Dragon Ball Budokai 3 follows the entire Dragon Ball story, basically, starting from Vegeta, the Saiyan Saga, all the way up to, the Buu Saga, and it extends further on, which I don't really have a lot of experience with. Super Saiyan 4, what was it called? Dragon Ball GT or something? I never watched that show. It just never turned up for me. I never watched it. But Dragon Ball Budokai 3, you get the entire story pretty much. Is it told in a good way? Not really. It's not the best telling of the Dragon Ball series. Really, if you want the best telling of the Dragon Ball series, go watch the anime. It's just the way it's supposed to be told, But yeah, I remember being a kid, I was blown away that you had the entire story. I mean, the first Dragon Ball game I ever played was Budokai Tenkaichi 1. So to get Budokai 3, that has this full story, the entire story, it's all voice acted most of the time, and with this really great combat system, with all these characters, with all this customization, with technically open worlds. It was just insane to me. I mean, playing through it now, it's just wow. 2004 this came out. 2004. We had this in 2004. I remember playing with my cousin. We stayed at our grand's for a while, and we were just, we had the controller, we would just go anytime there was a clash or whatever. It was so much fun, and I'm still having fun today. So the story itself, like I said, isn't told particularly well. It's, a lot of the time it's just freeze frames of your characters, their mouth moves a bit, and then there's a narrator telling you what's going on in the story. And most of the time I just skipped it, because, let's be honest, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you already know the story, so you're not really going to care too much about it unless you're playing a game like Dragon Ball Kakarot, where, the main emphasis is the story. It tells the entire story with some really good visuals. I really want to play that game. I've seen cutscenes. So, you're not playing it for that, but let's talk about what the meat of it, the combat system, the characters, the customization, and so much more. Let's talk. So, the combat system of Budokai 3 is the exact same as Budokai 1 and Budokai 2, except there has been a sweep of improvements. It's ridiculous how much the actual gameplay system improved. First off, visually, it looks so much better. Everything looks better. The menu looks better. The cell shading looks better. It's just nice to look at, Even for a PS2 game, it's really nice to look at. So you've got multiple different combos, loads of different abilities for your different characters, stage knockouts, you can knock them out of the stage, you've got counters, you've got dodges, you've got super clashes, you've just got everything you could possibly want from a 2D-ish, it's 2D-ish because it is technically 3D, Dragon Ball game. You got everything there. There are a few issues with it, the quick time event, so there's a moment in Budokai 3 where you can hit someone and it goes into this cutscene where you have to guess which input's going to be pressed by the other person to defend or attack them. And yeah, that can get really boring after a while, I can't even lie. I love Budokai 3, don't get me wrong, I don't want to shit on it, but that specific mechanic gets really boring really quick, you know what I mean? So really, that's the only major issue I have with Budokai 3's gameplay, is that little cutscene that I wish could be shortened significantly quicker, because honestly, everything else, it just feels not perfect. No game is perfect. I'm never going to say a game is perfect, but it just clicks. You know what I mean? When you're playing a game where you just think, this really doesn't need to be improved. It's good at what it is. You know what I mean? And that's Budokai 3. So you get different combos, different abilities like I've mentioned, but you can all customize it. So in the story, you play through all the different sagas, okay? So you got the Saiyan Saga, like I mentioned, Frieza, all that stuff with individual characters. So you can play Goku and do all of his battles, which is pretty much the longest story in the entire game. Or you could play as Vegeta and play through all of his battles from his perspective, or Gohan, or Piccolo, or even some less popular characters. So, you do all that, and each character has a level system, and you complete the story, and you level your characters up, and you get health points, ki, all of that stuff, as well as super moves and customization options. Now, naturally, the characters that get the most love is Goku, Vegeta. You've got fusion to go into Vegito, Gogeta, Majin Vegeta. Then you've got Frieza that could transform 5 times, and you got Mecha Frieza and Cooler. All of them stuff. all of the usual characters, you know, they get the most love, but, you know, the lesser fan favorite characters still get a love here too. You know, you can play as the less popular characters, is what I'm saying, and they all get their own abilities and stuff like that, movesets, stuff like that. Now, it's not the most deep game. It isn't the most deep combat system ever. It's quick attacks, heavy attacks, cutscene attacks, special moves, and super moves, and the super moves are a quick time event as well, so you got to press circle or X or whatever at a specific time, and if you're too late, you get less, and if you're too early, you get less. You know, you got to get it just right, and usually the AI cheeses you. You know, it's one of them, but they're still really cool to pull off, and when you do, you feel like a badass. So that's enough about the combat system. There's loads of different game modes you can pick from. I spent most of my time in story mode, but there are lots of, you know, hidden modes that I haven't unlocked just yet, that I did unlock when I was a kid, and I remember them very well. And there's this one mode that's like tournament, you know what I mean, where you get each character, you could do unlimited fights, level your characters up, and then, you know, you're set. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But let's talk about the story. So I've already mentioned how the story works, but I want to talk about how it's presented, because it is probably the weakest part of Budokai 3. I mean, it is the weakest part of Budokai 3 for me. May not be for you, but it is for me, because the Dragon Ball story, it's not the most complex, you know what I mean? It's about guys screaming as they power up, and then people die, and they're like, ah, daddy! And then they just fight each other, and then, you know, it's over. You know, it's not exactly the most deep story ever, but the way you present it is incredibly important. Budokai 3, I like the idea of reliving each battle from a different perspective, so you're playing as Vegeta, Gohan, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it really hinders the story in the way it's told, because they're trying to juggle too much. You know, they're trying to juggle too much, and I would much prefer a Budokai game in the style of Kakarot, so you can just play through the whole thing as Goku, and then you switch over to different characters at specific times, you know. Obviously that's a bit generic, it's not risky, but that's the way I'd prefer the story told. But, you know, they didn't do a terrible job at all, especially for 2004. Problem you have is that games like Budokai Tenkaichi 2 came out, and Budokai Tenkaichi 3 came out, you know, and those games tell the story way better, in my opinion. Don't kill me. Plus, you know, they entered the real 3D realm, you know, everyone was amazed by it. So Budokai 3 kind of came out at the inopportune time, but it's still fondly remembered, you know what I mean? I mean, it didn't come out as late as Burst Limit. Do you guys remember Dragon Ball Burst Limit? I remember Dragon Ball Burst Limit. Oh my god. I loved that game, despite how short it was. I thought it was really good. Anyway, so yeah, Budokai 3 just kind of came out at the wrong time, I think, and I think it did hinder it a little bit, but, you know, people like me, people like my cousin, we have fond memories of that game, and I'm still playing it today because I have a PC and I can emulate, which is great. So yeah, that's Budokai 3, man. I love that game. I love that game so much. I know it's another ramble review, but I like talking about stuff that's positive, you know, I enjoy doing that in a minute. I may go back to negativity, who knows, I might need the views, because the views are dying, oh my god. Anyway, that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. Smash that like button if you want more content like this, let me know what Dragon Ball games you want me to review next, and Naruto games you want me to review next, because I'm definitely not playing through the entire series, at all. I definitely don't have all my Naruto Storm 1 footage ready to go. Okay, thank you for watching, appreciate it, see you around.